The Public Affairs Department of WALA Fox 10 presents your Social Security Report.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everybody. Always good to be back with you again. May I come in? Thank you very much. I've been hearing some of our political leaders making a statement that, well, sort of amuses me. They talk about when we're thinking about that budget, not deficit, but that budget surplus that we're going to have. Of course, we don't know whether we're going to have a budget surplus or not yet, but budget surplus that we're going to have, we're going to use that to bail out Social Security. Well, I wonder if they realize that a good bit of that budget surplus already belongs to Social Security. And here's the reason why. Every year, Social Security takes in more than it pays out. In fact, last year it was something like $60 billion more came in than went out. This year is projected that about $70 billion more are coming in than going out. And they count that as part of the income, the general income. Of course, then they borrow those funds to help run the government. And they put government bonds in. Don't forget that. They're not just taking it away. They're putting government bonds in because it is an investment. But as I say, already a good bit of that already belongs to Social Security. So they're not giving Social Security anything if they talk about taking some of this budget surplus and helping bail out Social Security. And by the way, Social Security doesn't need any bailing out. It's in excellent shape for years and years, as I've mentioned many times here. It takes in more, and it has been taking in more than it pays out. And right now, it's approaching the $500 billion mark that they have in those government bonds. The only thing that concerns me is that as they're having to make good on those government bonds, they're going to have to float more government bonds to pay off that indebtedness. But that indebtedness is safe. It's the safest investment on earth. So don't listen to anybody saying that all Social Security has is a bunch of worthless IOUs. If those are worthless IOUs, then every government bond, every government note and bill is worthless. And you know that isn't true at all. Of course, I don't mean to say that Social Security has absolutely freewheeling, it doesn't have anything to worry about. It will. Because in the 20s, the 2000s, beginning about the year 2000, well, I'd say about the year 2019, we're going to have those first waves of the baby boomers hitting the fund. And they're going to have the money there to take care of it. And they will. But by the year 2029, they're going to use it all up. So sometime between now and 2029, they're not going to have to bail out Social Security, but they are going to have to make some effort, and not only some effort, some action, to make some adjustments in Social Security so that the fund is not going broke. But don't let it worry you. Now, nothing is on the horizon right now that's going to interfere with Social Security's funds. But let's look at some of those questions that have come in just in the last week or so. And I remember the first two that I had in mind were involving SSI. This good gentleman said, it isn't true, is it, that if I own a home or if I have a car, that I couldn't possibly qualify for that SSI? The answer is no, it is not true. The law isn't Social Security, by the way. It is the welfare law. The federal welfare law says that you are entitled to a home, and you are entitled to a car of reasonable value, and then you can possibly qualify for the SSI, the federal welfare funds. But the fact that you own a car or you own a home does not automatically wipe you out. So please don't let that ever worry you. If someone wants to talk about SSI going to the Social Security, just because they have a home or a car shouldn't stop them. But the clock on the wall says we have to stop you right now. You have to leave for a few moments. So will you excuse me? I'll be right back.
If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office and are a resident of the Mobile area, please write to the Social Security Administration, Mobile District Office, 9 St. Emmanuel Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36606, or call 334-441-6165. If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office and are a resident of Jackson, Alabama, please write to the Social Security Administration, 150 College Avenue, Jackson, Alabama, 36545, or call 334-246-6018.
Thank you for not leaving me. This next question is about SSI also. This good lady wanted to know, do you have to have any work credits to get that SSI like you do to get the Social Security? Because she says, I know that somewhere in that name it says security. Well, there is in the name, yes. It's Supplemental Security Income. I don't know why Congress put that name in there because it is confusing. And also the fact that you go to the Social Security office to do your business with the SSI, but it has no connection with Social Security. It's a federal welfare program. And no, you don't have to have any earnings credits, any work credits to qualify for the SSI. It is a welfare program, and it has no connection whatsoever with work credits or anything under Social Security. This question is well, it's a friend of mine who thinks deeply about some things, and he says, I've wondered sometimes about every dollar that I pay in my Social Security taxes. How do they divide that dollar up? Haven't you said that there are 2 or 3 different funds for Social Security in the Treasury Department? And I said, yes, there are. The Treasury Department has 3 separate funds that they've set up for Social Security. There's the Retirement of the Death Benefit Fund, there is the Disability Fund, and there is the Hospital Medicare Fund. And to each one of those, a certain amount of every dollar of the Social Security taxes has to be allocated. Now, they don't keep it all there in cash. They have to have enough cash to pay all current benefits. But the surplus is always put into government bonds and credited to that account. Well, of every dollar that comes into the Social Security taxes, 69 cents of it is credited to the Retirement and the Death Benefit Fund. See, that's the biggest. The Hospital Fund, 19 cents is credited for each dollar. And for the Disability Fund, 12 cents. So, you see, that's the smallest of all. I know some folks get the idea, oh, there's so many people drawing those disability benefits that are not entitled to it. Well, the Disability Benefit Fund is the smallest of all, so you can see from that there aren't many folks that are drawing disability benefits. So 69 cents, 19 cents, and 12 cents. That's why, though, back in the 1970s, when we did have a large number of people coming in filing for the disability benefits, that fund ran out. And then the rumors spread wildly. Social Security is broke. Well, actually, that fund was broke, but it didn't make that much difference because all they had to do was borrow from the Retirement of the Death Benefit Fund, which had more money than it needed. And that can be done any time if one fund runs out. But Retirement and Death Benefit Fund has never run out, never come anywhere close to running out. But there are those 3 different funds set up in the Treasury of the United States, and to each one of those, a certain amount must be credited for every dollar that comes in the Social Security taxes. This was a rather wild tale that this gentleman had. He said, I've heard that because we are all living longer, that Social Security is going to put a limit on the number of years that you can draw your retirement benefits. And then it's going to be absolutely out. Is that true? The answer is no. It isn't like some retirement fund that says a certain number of years and that's it. You draw Social Security as long as you live. So when you're retired, you draw the retirement benefits just as long as you're retired. So don't be afraid that if you live a long, long time that you're going to outlast and outlive the Social Security. You won't. And that comes up sometimes, too, about the Medicare. Can they cancel the Medicare on you, or will you outlive the Medicare? No, you won't outlive the Medicare, and they don't cancel the Medicare on you. Now, you can cancel the Medicare, but the government cannot cancel the Medicare on you unless, of course, you just refuse to pay the premiums. Then Medicare could be canceled because you do have to pay the premium for the doctor bill part. For the hospital part, you know, you don't pay the premium if you or the spouse work sufficiently under Social Security. And this good lady said, my old company, where I used to work years and years ago, is taking on a little extra business now, and they know that in my particular line that I've already been trained. I know exactly how to handle things, and they want me to come during the summer months, beginning in, well, all for the summer months anyway, and they want me to work for the mornings only. Well, I have 3 little children at home, so I have found that my teenage neighbor, who is very, very responsible, will take care of the children in the morning, and I will pay for taking care of the children. But I'm wondering, does that come under Social Security now? Well, she said teenage. If the neighbor is under the age of 18, no, the neighbor is not going to come under Social Security unless that's the only way that that neighbor has of making a living. Well, if it's a next-door neighbor, I'm sure that's not the only way of making a living. So it's not going to come under Social Security unless the neighbor is 18 or over. And then if they pay as much as $1,000 in the year, if that neighbor is 18 or over, then that does come under Social Security. But as long as it's under $1,000, no, and as long as the neighbor is under the age of 18, no. But the clock on the wall says you've got to go for a few moments, so will you excuse me? I'll be right back.
If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office and are a resident of the Eastern Shore, please write to the Social Security Administration, 368 Commercial Park Drive, Fairhope, Alabama, 36532, or call 334-928-2504. If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office and are a resident of Andalusia, Alabama, please write to the Social Security Administration, 408 South 3 Notch, Andalusia, Alabama, 36420, or call 334-222-9701.
Thank you for not leaving me. May I come back in? Thank you. This good gentleman had a very interesting question. He said, if I'm drawing Social Security benefits and I take a job, I don't say anything about it. Social Security doesn't have any way of knowing that I'm working, does it? No, it doesn't. But it will find out because that employer is going to have to make reports on you. Now, of course, there is such a thing as what they call the under-the-counter market or something like that. But you can be sure that sooner or later it's going to come to light. Because in my years with Social Security, I never saw it fail that we had self-appointed watchdogs of the Treasury who felt it their duty to let the government know that this person or that person was working, and they didn't think that they were telling you about it and they were drawing the Social Security benefits. So even though Social Security has no way of knowing that you are working and drawing the Social Security benefits, believe me, it's going to come to light some way or another, either in the straightforward manner when the employer makes his annual reports or from some other source. And this good lady said, I've been told by a good friend of mine that even though I'm divorced, when I reach the age of 62 and my husband is old enough to draw retirement, that even though he doesn't draw it, that I can draw as a divorced wife if I haven't remarried. And the answer is yes, that's true. But she said, suppose I'm drawing alimony. Is that going to interfere with the Social Security that I could draw from him? The answer is no. Alimony is not going to have any bearing at all on it, so she doesn't have to worry one bit about that. And then this question. This good gentleman said, next month I'm going to be old enough to come under Medicare. But I'm wondering about any kind of supplemental health insurance. Is it advisable to take out something in addition to the Medicare? And does Medicare sell any kind of health insurance? Well, no, Medicare does not sell any kind of supplemental health insurance. But yes, it would be advisable. If you can afford it, I would say definitely it is advisable to have some kind of supplemental insurance because, you know, Medicare can't do the whole job. It would break the system to try it. So if you can't afford it, then I would take out some supplemental insurance because in so many cases, the supplemental insurance will cover what Medicare doesn't cover in the way of the deductibles. For example, if you go to the hospital, you know you have to pay $760 this year, and Medicare doesn't cover that, but a supplemental insurance policy would. And you're responsible for the first $100 of total doctor's bills before Medicare steps in. Now, not total bills from every doctor, but I mean from each doctor, but the total $100 from all doctors for the year. You're responsible for the first $100, and a supplemental policy could step in and cover that. There's some things like that that a supplemental policy could cover. So if you can afford it, yes, it's a very good idea to have the supplemental health insurance along with your Medicare. And this good lady wanted to know this. She said, if I'm turned down for disability benefits when I apply under Social Security, suppose I turn right around and try to get it under the SSI, would the same people be the ones to say whether or not I'm disabled for Social Security purposes and for SSI purposes? The answer is yes, because it's the same medical board that makes the determination whether or not you meet the law's requirement for Social Security disability benefits or for the disability benefits under the SSI. So the fact that you're turned down by one, well, in all probability it would mean that you would be turned down for the other, but not necessarily, because you see, the rules for Social Security disability benefits are not quite the same in every case as they are for the SSI. So if she feels that she could meet the requirements for other purposes, for example, for the income or the assets as far as SSI is concerned, you know, that has no bearing as far as Social Security is concerned, income and assets. But for SSI, they do. So if she would meet those requirements, she could put in for the SSI disability and see if it possibly could pass the medical board under that. And this gentleman was a little bit worried, needlessly. He said, I've retired now, and I'm doing what I said that I was going to do all along when I was buying these savings bonds. I'm cashing them in because I need this extra income. But a friend of mine says, well, don't you know that that extra income could interfere with your Social Security benefits? The answer is no, it doesn't. That isn't earnings. It's only earnings going over the ceiling for that year that will have any bearing on your benefits. So he doesn't have to worry one bit about the income from those savings bonds that he's cashing in, or any kind of dividends or interest. They have no bearing whatsoever on your Social Security benefits. This good lady had a most interesting question, and most unusual. It's an interesting question. Got the two of them mixed up, didn't it? She said, my husband was helping support a cousin's child while he was living because the cousin was having a hard time making ends meet. Well, now that my husband has died, is there any way that I could collect benefits for that child? The answer is no. It would have to be the husband's own child or an adopted child or a grandchild, or of course a stepchild. But since this is just the cousin's child and the child was not adopted by the husband, then there's no way that they would be able to draw the benefits for that child. However, if they would talk about adoption, then yes, it could come under that. But see the Social Security office first before you go into that. But the clock on the wall says, see me first, to be sure that you are watching the time. So will you excuse me for a few moments? I'll be right back.
If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security office and are a resident of the Pensacola area, please write to the Social Security Administration, Pensacola District Office, 1011 West Garden Street, Pensacola, Florida, 32501, or call 850-434-5488. If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security office and are a resident of the Pascagoula, Mississippi area, please write to the Social Security Administration, 1225 Jackson Avenue, Pascagoula, Mississippi, 39567, or call 228-762-3370.
Back for the last roundup, and thank you for letting me come back. I was astounded when I had this looked up for me. A friend of mine asked me the other day, how many folks do we have in Mobile County, and by that he meant county and city, how many folks do we have drawing Social Security benefits, and how much does it amount to? He said, I've heard you talk about these great big figures about billions here and billions there, but right here at home, how many do we have? Well, I did have it looked up for me, and as I say, I was astounded. Do you know we have 68,000 persons in Mobile County drawing Social Security benefits every month? I didn't think it would be that many. 68,000. And do you know how much it amounts to? Right at just under $43 million a month. That's a big chunk of purchasing power for Mobile County. I well remember years and years ago when I was with Social Security when we hit $30 million a month. I said, boy, this is big. This is $1 million a day. But now it's gone up to almost $43 million a month. So believe me, Social Security really is a big business in Mobile County. And this good gentleman said, my wife has a birth certificate in French because she was born in Canada. Now, can we use something like that to prove her date of birth? The answer is definitely yes. I said birth certificate was really baptismal certificate. Of course we can, because we have they have translators. In fact, I used to be one of them in the Social Security who can translate these different languages. I used to love to translate some of those different languages. And they can translate that language, and it can be used very definitely. So you needn't worry about that whatsoever. And this is a question that was bothering this gentleman. He said, I have a chance to go back to work. I'm drawing disability benefits. I have a chance to go back to work for a little bit, and it'll be just a little part-time, but I'm wondering, can I work at all and still draw the Social Security disability benefits? And the answer is yes. Social Security encourages going back to work. But now there are certain, allow it to use the word parameters that you have to be hedged in by. The law is that the work cannot be substantial and the earnings can't be substantial. The law normally says that if your earnings are staying under $500 a month, that they're not considered substantial, and therefore you would be able to work and draw Social Security benefits for disability. But be sure to get in touch with the Social Security office. If you do go to work while drawing the disability benefits, let them know what the type of work is, how many hours you're going to be putting in during the day, whether or not it's anywhere nearly as hard as it was when you were working before you started drawing the disability benefits, and how much you're going to be making. Then they can give you a definite answer as to whether or not you can work and draw the disability benefits. But the clock on the wall says you're not going to be able to draw much longer time because you're going to have to go. It's always a pleasure to come and visit with you, and I hope you let me come back again next week at the same time. I look forward to it. And if you have any questions you would like to have sent in, get in touch with the station. They'll be glad to pass them on to me. But the clock on the wall now says, go. You've got to go. Thank you very, very much for letting me visit with you. And until next week at the same time, from the heart, to every one of you, God bless you all, every one of you. Goodbye.
This has been your Social Security Report, a public affairs presentation of WALA Fox 10. This program has been pre-recorded broadcast at this time. If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office, please call 1-800-772-1213.